Hi, welcome to Rocky's Academic Academy. Today we're going to learn how to round to the nearest 10. Now the reason why we need to learn how to round numbers is so that we can quickly check an answer to a problem using mental math. For example, if you go to a grocery store and you want to buy a few pieces of candy, if you're able to add the numbers in your head close to the actual amount, by the time you get to the check stand, you know exactly how much money you're going to pay, or approximately how much money you're going to pay. So it's really helpful in real life situations, especially going to the grocery store. If you're going to buy something at the mall, rounding is really helpful. It's also helpful for paying taxes because sometimes you have to round your tax amounts. So here's some helpful hints for you to round successfully. First, you need to learn my place value song. Then you need to learn to count by tens. If you're rounding to the nearest tens, you need to be able to count by tens. You also need to learn the rounding neighbor rule. If the number next to the number you round is 4 or lower, you round the number lower. If it is 5 or more, you round the number higher. Now I'm going to show you how this works when we're rounding numbers, so don't worry about that now. Now the first thing we're going to learn is my place value song. This will not only help you with rounding numbers, but it will also help you with place value problems. Now, when we first sing the song, we're going to start at the ones. Then the song goes up to the hundred thousands. Then it starts back again at the ones, and then it goes all the way to the billions. Now the first time around, I'm going to sing the song, then I'd like you to join me, and then you can practice on your own. The song goes like this: ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s. Then comes the millions, followed by 10 millions. Then comes the 100 millions, followed by the billions. Now I want you to join me. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s. Then comes the millions, followed by 10 millions. Then comes the 100 millions, followed by the billions. Now we're going to use that song to help us with our rounding. Now the first number we're going to round is 57. Okay, we got to find where the 10 spot is, so we're going to use the song to help us. Ones, tens. Once we find the 10 spot, we're going to circle the number that's in the 10 spot. Then we're going to write the two tens that 57 is close to. We're going to start with 5 tens is worth 50, so that's the first number of our choice. The second number, we round 10 higher. 10 higher than 50 is 60, so that's our second choice. Now we look at the neighbor number. I'm going to put N for neighbor. If the neighbor is 5 or more, we're going to round the number to the higher 10. If it's 4 or less, we round it lower. Now, on a number line, let's see how that works, so that you understand the neighbor rule. Okay, 57, we have to decide where it falls on the number line. I want you to think of this number line sort of like a racetrack. 55 is the halfway point. When you see a 5 in the number that's second to the number you're rounding, this will show you that if it passes the halfway point, you will round the number higher. If it's less than 5, 4, 3, 2, or 1, then you round it lower. Now 57 would be found about here on the number line. If you were to write the other numbers, they would be 56, 57, 58, 59. Those are all closer to 60. So if this is a racetrack, 57 is closer to the finish line than it is to the starting line. So if it's past the halfway point, or if it's at the halfway point, you round it higher. If it's before the halfway point, you round it lower. So for example, 54, 53, 52, 51, and 50 would all be rounded to 50. So you know that 7 is on the high side, so we round the number to 60. So 57 rounded to the nearest 10 equals 60. Now let's see how this rounding stuff applies to a bigger number. Let's say 274. Now if you notice, this has an extra digit in there. So we're going to start off with a place value song. We're going to sing ones, tens. We're going to circle our focus number. We're rounding to the nearest 10, so this is the number we circle. And then I draw a line. Anything to the left of the number I'm rounding will generally stay itself. So we don't have to worry about this number. All we have to do is just copy it. Now there are some exceptions to the rule, but we'll learn about that later. So anything to the left stays itself. This is the number we're rounding. So we're going to take the value of the 7. This is worth 7 tens, which is 70. 10 higher would be 80. Now we look at the neighbor to decide what are we going to round it to. I'll put n for neighbor. Remember the rule, if it's 4 or lower, you round it lower. If it's 5 or higher, you round it higher. So this number's on the low side, so we'd round this to 70. Now let's look at the number line to see how it works. If I take 74 and I put it on the number line, 74 would fall about right here. Now if this were a racetrack, 70 would be the starting line, 80 would be the finishing line, this would be the halfway point. This is less than the halfway point. So since this is closer to the starting line, 74 would round to 70. Now numbers like 73, 72, 71, and 70 would also round to 70. Any numbers like 75, 76, 77, 78, 79 would all round to 80 because they're closer to 80. So 74 is closer to 70, we're going to round it to 70. So let's go back and see what the number would look like now. We know this rounds to 70, so 274 rounded to the nearest 10 would end up being 270. Now we have to include this number. Even though we didn't round it, it has to be included in the answer. You can't just say 70, it has to be 270. Now let's take an even bigger number than that. Let's take 3,246. Now, using our place value song, we're going to figure out where the 10 spot is. Ones, tens. So we're going to circle this number because it's in the 10 spot. And then we draw our line. Anything to the left stays the same. Now, like I said, there are a few exceptions to the rule, but all we have to do is just copy these numbers. That's pretty easy. Now at the end of the number we're counting by tens. So we have to make two choices. 4 has the value of 40. 10 higher would be 50. Now we look at the neighbor to decide, are we going to round it higher or lower? Remember the neighbor rounding rule. If this is 5 or higher, you round it to the higher amount. If it's 4 or lower, you round it to the lower amount. Now let's look at the number line to try to decide where 46 would fall on the number line. 46 would be located about right here on the number line. Now, is it past the halfway point? Yes, it is. So 46, because it ends in a 6, it would be rounded to the higher number, which is 50. Okay, so numbers like 45, 46, 47, 48, and 49 would all round to 50, whereas numbers like 44, 43, 42, 41, and 40, those are all closer to 40, so they round to 40. So 46 is rounded to 50. Now let's go back to the number. We know this is rounded to about 50. So our answer isn't going to be just 50. We have to remember these two numbers to the left of 50. So our answer is going to be 3,250. So 3,246 rounded to the nearest 10 would be 3,250. That's the end of our lesson on rounding. Have a great day, and I hope this was helpful to you.